Narcissists operate within predictable cycles. They charm you, drawing you in with charisma and attention. They make you feel seen in a way that feels intoxicating. But as time goes on, the cracks begin to show. The compliments become backhanded, their actions turn self-serving, and their inability to consider anyone else's perspective becomes glaringly apparent. Recognizing these patterns isn't about diagnosing or labeling them, it's about seeing their behavior for what it is so you can stop internalizing their actions as a reflection of your worth. You might find yourself asking, why do they do this? Is it something I've done? Let me stop you right there. The answer is no. Their behavior isn't about you, it's about them. A narcissist's need for control and validation is often rooted in deep insecurities they may not even recognize themselves. But understanding the why isn't your job. Your job is to protect your peace. When you can identify their patterns, the gaslighting, the deflection, the constant need for praise, you gain clarity. That clarity becomes a boundary in itself. You stop personalizing their behavior. You stop feeling like you have to bend yourself into someone you're not just to earn their approval. You see their tactics for what they are, attempts to maintain power, not truths about who you are. Recognizing these patterns also helps you prepare. If you know that a narcissist tends to twist your words, you can choose your responses carefully or limit how much you share with them. If you know they're likely to downplay your achievements, you can find other sources of validation and not rely on their acknowledgement. This isn't about outsmarting them, it's about preserving your energy and staying grounded in your truth. Here's the most important part. Recognizing their patterns doesn't mean you have to accept them. This is not an invitation to tolerate toxic behavior. It's about building a toolbox of awareness, boundaries, and self-respect that keeps you from being swept away by their tactics. It's saying, I see you, but I won't lose myself to you. When you stop giving their patterns power, you shift the dynamic. You're no longer the person reacting to their chaos, you're the calm in the storm. You're the one in control of your emotions, your decisions, and your boundaries. Recognizing their patterns doesn't just protect you, it empowers you. And that's where your true strength lies. Don't engage in their games. One of the most freeing realizations you can have when dealing with a narcissist is this: you don't have to play their game. It's tempting though, isn't it? When they provoke you, twist your words, or pull you into their web of drama, it's easy to feel like you have to respond, defend yourself, or set the record straight. But here's the hard truth: engaging only gives them exactly what they want: control over your emotions. Narcissists are masters at creating chaos. They'll push your buttons, turning small disagreements into full-blown arguments. They'll gaslight you, making you question your reality or your feelings. They use every tactic in their arsenal to pull you into a cycle where they hold all the power and you're left doubting yourself. It's exhausting, isn't it? But the beauty of stepping back is realizing that their power only works if you give them access to it. Choosing not to engage is not about surrendering or giving up. It's about reclaiming your peace and refusing to be a pawn in their game. Imagine someone inviting you to a toxic argument, baiting you with insults or manipulation. What happens if you simply don't show up? What if you don't respond with anger or defensiveness? What if instead you hold your ground with quiet strength and refuse to take the bait? That's where your power lies, not in fighting, but in standing firm. When you disengage, you disrupt the cycle. They might try harder to provoke you at first because your calmness is unfamiliar to them. They thrive on reactions. It feeds their need for control. But the more you hold your peace, the clearer it becomes. Their behavior isn't a reflection of your worth, it's a mirror of their insecurities. Disengaging doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing where and how to channel your energy. Instead of wasting it on someone who refuses to listen or compromise, you invest it in yourself. You take that time and energy and pour it into your healing, your growth, and your own sense of self-worth. It's not easy to resist the pull of their games, especially when they're designed to provoke the deepest parts of you. They might accuse you of being unkind or unresponsive. They might twist your silence into guilt or make you feel like the unreasonable one. But here's the thing: their narrative doesn't have to be your truth. Your boundaries are valid, your silence is powerful, and your choice to disengage is a radical act of self-care. In those moments when the urge to respond feels overwhelming, pause, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what am I hoping to achieve by engaging? Will this conversation bring resolution, or will it drain me? More often than not, the answer will remind you that stepping back isn't weakness, it's wisdom. So don't play their game. Don't let their chaos pull you into a place where you lose sight of yourself. Stand firm, stay grounded, and remember that your peace is too precious to sacrifice. Refusing to engage isn't about shutting them out, it's about letting yourself in. Set boundaries like your life depends on it. There's something sacred about boundaries. They're not just rules or limits, they're declarations of your worth. They say to the world, this is who I am. This is how I deserve to be treated. And this is where I draw the line. Boundaries are not walls to isolate you. They are bridges to protect your well-being while still connecting with others in healthy ways. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, boundaries become essential, not just for your emotional health, but for your survival. The thing about narcissists is that they don't respect boundaries naturally. They test them, push them, and sometimes trample them entirely. Why? Because boundaries challenge their sense of control, and yet that's exactly why you must hold firm. Boundaries are about teaching people what is acceptable in your life and what isn't. For a narcissist, it can feel like you're building a fortress, but remember, that fortress is for your safety, not their exclusion. Setting boundaries starts with clarity. You have to get honest with yourself about what you need, what drains you, what crosses the line from discomfort into harm. Maybe it's their constant interruptions in your life, their refusal to respect your time, or their tendency to criticize without care. Whatever it is, name it. Give yourself permission to say, this isn't working for me, and trust that your feelings are valid. Once you've identified your boundaries, the next step is communicating them. And let's be real, this part isn't easy, especially with a narcissist who might meet your boundaries with resistance, guilt tripping, or outright hostility. They might accuse you of being selfish or unkind, but here's the truth. Setting boundaries is an act of love, not just for yourself, but for the relationship. Without boundaries, resentment grows and the connection becomes toxic. Boundaries, when upheld, create the possibility for a healthier dynamic, even if the other person doesn't see it that way. When you communicate your boundaries, be firm and clear. You don't have to justify or over-explain. A simple, I'm not comfortable with that, or I need time to myself is enough. Your boundaries don't need their approval, they only need your commitment. And if they push back, and they will stay grounded in your truth, remember, their reaction to your boundary is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself to honor your needs and protect your peace. Enforcing boundaries is where the real work begins, because a boundary without enforcement is just a suggestion. When they cross the line, as narcissists often do, you must respond. Maybe that means walking away from a conversation that's spiraling out of control. Maybe it means limiting the time you spend with them, or even cutting ties entirely. These are not easy decisions, but they are necessary ones. You're not punishing them, you're protecting yourself. Here's the thing about boundaries, they are not a one-time event. They're a practice. They require consistency, courage, and sometimes a willingness to confront discomfort. But every time you hold firm, you're sending a message to the narcissist and to yourself that you matter, that your needs matter, that your well-being matters. And let me tell you this, setting boundaries isn't just about keeping others in check. It's about honoring the relationship you have with yourself. It's about saying, I am worthy of respect, even if someone else refuses to give it. I am worthy of peace. Even if it means disappointing someone else, I am worthy of love. Even if I have to walk away from someone who doesn't show it. Boundaries are your lifeline. They're what keep you grounded in your truth when someone tries to shake it. They're what allow you to connect with others without losing yourself. So set them with courage, hold them with conviction, and protect them like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Stop seeking validation from them. Let's get something straight right now. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It's not something that depends on someone else's acknowledgement, approval, or recognition. Yet, when you're entangled with a narcissist, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking validation from them. Their charisma, their ability to make you feel special, at least for a moment, can be intoxicating. But here's the painful truth. The validation they give is fleeting, conditional, and often manipulative. And chasing it only leads you further away from yourself. When you seek validation from a narcissist, you're stepping into a game you can never win. Their approval is like a mirage. You think you're getting closer, only to find it slipping further out of reach. Why? Because narcissists thrive on keeping you in a state of longing. If they acknowledge your worth, it's often to maintain control. If they withhold it, it's to make you work harder for their attention. Either way, your sense of self becomes tied to their unpredictable and ever-changing whims. It's exhausting, isn't it? That constant effort to prove yourself to be enough for someone who rarely, if ever, sees you for who you are. But here's the thing, you don't need their validation. You never did. The belief that you do is a lie they've woven into the dynamic, and it's time to unravel it. The first step to breaking free is recognizing where this need for validation comes from. Maybe it's rooted in a past where you learned that love had to be earned, that being good enough meant pleasing others at the expense of yourself. Those wounds are real, but they don't have to define you. The truth is, you were always worthy long before they came into your life and long after they're gone. Stopping the cycle of seeking validation doesn't mean you stop caring about what others think entirely. It means you start caring more about what you think. It means shifting the focus from external approval to internal alignment. Instead of asking, do they see my value? Ask yourself, do I see my value? Because that's the validation that truly matters, the kind that comes from within, unshaken by anyone else's opinion. This shift requires practice. It's about noticing when you're bending yourself to fit someone else's expectations and choosing to stand tall in your truth instead. It's about learning to celebrate your accomplishments without needing their praise and embracing your flaws without fearing their criticism. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I am enough, even when they make you feel like you aren't. And let's be honest, there will be moments when this feels hard. Moments when their silence feels like rejection, when their criticism stings more than you'd like to admit. In those moments, remind yourself that their inability to validate you is a reflection of their limitations, not yours. Their failure to see your worth doesn't make you any less valuable. One of the most powerful acts of self-love you can offer yourself is to let go of the need for their approval. To say, I don't need you to see me because I see myself, to walk away from the constant craving for their acknowledgement and walk toward the freedom of self-acceptance. This isn't about shutting out the world or pretending that other people's opinions don't matter. It's about being selective about whose opinions you let in. It's about building a foundation of self-worth so solid that no amount of their approval or lack of it can shake it. You don't need their validation to be whole. You are already enough. Your journey isn't about proving your worth to someone else. It's about reclaiming it for yourself. Let go of the chase and step into the freedom of knowing that you are worthy just as you are. Empathy doesn't mean enabling. Empathy is one of the most powerful tools we have as human beings. It allows us to connect, to understand, to walk in someone else's shoes. But when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, empathy can feel like a double-edged sword. You may find yourself feeling sorry for them, rationalizing their behavior because you understand their pain or insecurity. And while it's compassionate to acknowledge their struggles, there's a line you must not cross. Empathy doesn't mean enabling their harmful actions. Here's where we get tangled. Narcissists often have deep wounds, layers of insecurity or trauma that they hide behind their bravado. And if you're someone who naturally empathizes, you might feel compelled to help them heal or excuse their behavior because you know it comes from a place of pain. But the truth is, you can't fix what isn't yours to fix. Their wounds are not your responsibility, and your empathy should never come at the expense of your own well-being. When we conflate empathy with enabling, we risk losing ourselves in someone else's chaos. We might stay silent when they cross a boundary because we don't want to upset them. We might tolerate disrespect because we tell ourselves they don't mean it or they're struggling. But enabling doesn't help them. It only allows the cycle of harmful behavior to continue. And worse, it diminishes your ability to show up for yourself. Empathy, when healthy, is about connection, not self-sacrifice. It's about saying, I see you, I understand your pain, but I won't let it harm me. It's about holding space for someone's humanity without letting their actions define your reality. You can acknowledge their struggles without excusing their behavior. You can care about them without compromising your boundaries. One of the hardest lessons in dealing with a narcissist is recognizing that empathy isn't always reciprocated. While you're busy trying to understand their perspective, they might be busy trying to manipulate yours. This doesn't mean you stop being empathetic. It means you become discerning. You learn to direct your empathy in ways that protect your heart. Healthy empathy requires boundaries. It's saying, I can love you and still hold you accountable. I can understand your pain and still demand respect. It's recognizing that compassion for someone else should never require abandoning compassion for yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you shouldn't drain yourself trying to fill theirs. Sometimes the most empathetic thing you can do is step back, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. Stepping back creates space for both of you, space for you to heal and for them to confront their own behavior. It's not your job to absorb their pain or carry their burden. True empathy isn't about fixing, it's about witnessing. It's about offering understanding without losing yourself in the process. And here's something to hold close. Empathy doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean you're naive or a pushover. In fact, it takes immense strength to stand in your empathy while still enforcing boundaries. It takes courage to say, I care about you, but I won't let you hurt me. That's the kind of empathy that transforms not by enabling, but by embodying respect for both yourself and the other person. So don't be afraid to lead with empathy. Just remember that it's not about letting someone walk over you. It's about staying grounded in your own truth. It's about showing compassion without losing your voice. And it's about knowing that real connection doesn't require enabling. It requires mutual respect and accountability. Know when to walk away. Walking away is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do, especially when it comes to someone you care about, someone who may have once held an important place in your life. It's hard because walking away feels final. It feels like giving up, like admitting defeat. But here's the truth: knowing when to walk away isn't about failure, it's about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing when staying costs too much and leaving is the most loving thing you can do for your own well-being. When you're dealing with a narcissist, the decision to walk away is especially complicated. They have a way of pulling you back in, don't they? With charm, with promises, with just enough kindness to make you second-guess yourself. They know how to make you doubt what you know deep down, that the relationship is toxic, that it's draining you, and that it isn't going to change. Walking away isn't about anger or punishment. It's not about shutting the door with bitterness or burning bridges. It's about drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is where I stop sacrificing myself. This is where I reclaim my peace. It's an act of courage, not cruelty. But let's not pretend it's easy. Walking away means confronting the fears that keep you tethered, the fear of being alone, the fear of what they'll say or do, the fear that maybe you're the problem after all. These fears are real and they're heavy. But they're not bigger than your right to live a life free of manipulation, disrespect, and emotional exhaustion. Here's what you need to understand. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't care. It doesn't mean you didn't try. It doesn't mean you're giving up on them as a person. What it does mean is that you're prioritizing your mental health, your emotional stability, and your sense of self. It means you've decided that the cost of staying is greater than the cost of leaving. There's a kind of liberation that comes with walking away, not immediately, but eventually. At first, it might feel like you're stepping into a void, like you're leaving behind a piece of yourself. But over time, you realize that what you're actually leaving behind is the weight you've been carrying, the constant tension, the unrelenting need to navigate their moods and manipulations. What you're stepping into isn't emptiness, it's freedom. Walking away also sends a powerful message, not just to them, but to yourself. It says, I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of a life that isn't defined by someone else's chaos. And that message is transformative. It's a reminder that you're allowed to choose yourself even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Letting go of a relationship with a narcissist isn't just about physical distance. It's about emotional and mental separation too. It's about refusing to let their voice become the loudest one in your head. It's about reclaiming your identity, your joy, and your sense of purpose. There will be moments when you doubt your decision. When the memories of good times resurface, when their words echo in your mind, or when loneliness creeps in. In those moments, remind yourself why you walked away in the first place. Write it down if you need to. Keep it close. And know that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Walking away doesn't mean you stop loving or caring. It means you start loving yourself more. It means you refuse to let someone else's brokenness break you. It means you recognize that you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved, and you let go of the weight that isn't yours to carry. So if you're standing at the crossroads, unsure of what to do, know this walking away is not the end. It's the beginning of something new, something healthier, something freer, something that honors who you are and who you're becoming. Walking away is not weakness, it's strength. And it's a strength that you carry with you even when it feels impossible. Heal and reclaim your power. Healing is not a straight path. It's messy, it's layered, and it's deeply personal. But the most important thing to know is that healing is possible. After enduring the manipulation, emotional highs and lows, and constant self-doubt that often come with dealing with the narcissist, it's easy to feel like you've lost pieces of yourself. Like your sense of power, your identity, and even your joy have been stripped away. But here's the truth, those parts of you are not gone, they're waiting to be reclaimed. Healing begins with acknowledgement. You have to give yourself permission to feel everything you've been suppressing, the anger, the grief, the exhaustion, and even the relief. Too often we rush to get over it because sitting with those feelings is uncomfortable. But healing isn't about bypassing the pain, it's about facing it. It's about saying, yes, this hurt me. Yes, I gave too much. Yes, I lost sight of myself. And now I'm ready to take it back. One of the first steps to reclaiming your power is redefining what power means to you. For too long, you may have equated power with control, either theirs over you or your struggle to regain it. But true power isn't about control. It's about freedom. It's about the ability to make choices that honor your needs, your values, and your boundaries. It's about stepping into a life where you are no longer defined by their opinions, their manipulation, or their chaos. Healing also requires self-compassion. This is where you get to let go of the guilt, the shame, and the self-blame. It's easy to look back and think, I should have seen the signs sooner. I should have stood up for myself. I should have walked away earlier. But none of that serves you now. What serves you is recognizing that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. And now you're choosing differently. That choice to heal, to reclaim your power, is a testament to your strength. Reclaiming your power also means reconnecting with yourself. Think about the things you used to love, the hobbies, the dreams, the parts of your identity that may have been overshadowed in the relationship. What brings you joy? What makes you feel alive? Healing isn't just about mending the wounds, it's about rediscovering who you are outside of their influence. It's about remembering that you are whole, even if they tried to convince you otherwise. There's also a critical piece of healing that involves letting go not of the lessons, but of the grip the past has on you. Letting go doesn't mean you're condoning what happened or forgetting it. It means you're choosing not to let it define you. It means you're freeing yourself from the narrative that says you're a victim. You were hurt, yes, but you are also resilient. You are also capable of rising, of building a life where you are no longer tethered to the pain. As you heal, you'll begin to notice shifts. Your energy will start to return. Your voice will become stronger. You'll find moments of joy in places that once felt hollow. And slowly but surely, you'll realize that the power you thought you'd lost has been within you all along. It was never theirs to take. It was simply buried under the weight of everything you endured. Reclaiming your power is an act of courage. It's choosing to write a new chapter when the old one tried to convince you that you were powerless. It's standing tall in your worth, even when doubt whispers otherwise. And it's knowing that you are so much more than what happened to you. Your healing journey is yours to own. Take it one step at a time. Be patient with yourself, celebrate the small victories, and remember, healing isn't about erasing the scars. It's about wearing them as a testament to your strength. Each scar is proof that you survived, that you chose yourself, and that you are reclaiming your life not just as someone who endured, but as someone who thrives. Your power is yours. It always has been. And now it's time to claim it fully, unapologetically, and with the unwavering belief that you are worthy of the peace, joy, and freedom that comes with it. Rising stronger, reclaiming yourself. The journey of navigating a relationship with a narcissist is one of the most challenging paths anyone can walk. It tests your sense of self, your boundaries, and your capacity to endure. But the fact that you're here, seeking understanding and strength, is proof that you're ready to rise above it. Recognizing their patterns isn't just about understanding their behavior, it's about empowering yourself to see through the illusion of their control. Refusing to engage in their games is an act of self-preservation, a declaration that you won't be manipulated or diminished. Setting boundaries as though your life depends on it is a revolutionary act of reclaiming your space and protecting your peace. And then there's the inner work. It's about releasing the need for their validation and finding your worth within. It's about holding on to empathy without losing sight of your own needs, being compassionate without enabling. It's knowing when to step away, not in anger, but in the clarity that you deserve more than what they can give. And finally, it's about healing. It's about healing. It's about gathering the fragmented pieces of your spirit, rediscovering your power, and stepping forward into a life that feels fully your own.